Hey everyone, welcome. We are going to start in about 30 seconds. If you're already logged in, I'd love for you to put in the chat where you're tuning in from, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, and welcome everyone to Virtue Health's LinkedIn Live. I am so happy that you are here today, that you're joining us, taking time out of your lunch hour to be here. We're going to keep this super short. We know everyone is busy at this time of the year, so we're going to be around that 15-minute mark. So if you plan to take notes, let's get them out because we're going to dive right in. I am Lydia Bishop. I'm Vice President of Sales here at Virtue Health. And like I said, we are so glad that you've joined us. What are we going to be discussing today in our 15 minutes? We're going to be going over who is Virtue Health, current market threats that are facing your employers that's going to affect you as a broker, healthcare financing options, why group purchasing, what makes Virtue Health different, and then how do you partner with us to get access to Virtue Health's private consortium? So pens ready, paper out, let's get started. All right, who is Virtue Health? Virtue Health is a private group stop loss purchasing consortium. So when I say consortium, that is going to be the group purchasing piece. What are we group purchasing? We are group purchasing stop loss. We are one pool. We are not divided into different subcategories. We are one group stop loss purchasing pool. We were designed by a benefits broker, John Sprocco. You might be familiar with him from Heads Up Advisor. He designed this program when he was a broker in the self-funded space. He knew the pain points that we're seeing in the self-funded market. He knew why different captives and consortiums were designed, but he thought it could be done a little bit better. So he decided to create Virtue Health intentionally and very uniquely. Unlike traditional stop loss, our program provides a long-term insurance solution for employers in that small to mid-size market. By utilizing Virtue Health's collective purchasing power, which is the consortium piece, employers in that 50 to 500 space are able to pool their risk with other like-minded, forward-thinking employers where everyone, put a little asterisk there, where everyone is playing by the same mandatory rules. Leveraging this consortium approach not only optimizes the protection, but it's going to lower the volatility in the bad years. And unfortunately, as we know, the bad years are going to come. So let's discuss the employer side. I think if there's one thing we can all agree with coming out of this post-COVID world is that things are not the same. Widespread inflation is one of the ripple effects that we're feeling. I don't think I have to describe this to anyone, right? Go to the grocery store, try to build a home, look at the lumber costs, try to buy a car. Inflation is going to erode that purchasing power. What does that mean? You have your fixed costs here, your prices rise here, and now you have this gap, which is going to be less consumption. Everything costs more. People need more money. Employees need more money. So that's where rise in labor cost is going to come from. People need more because things are costing more. So what do you do as an employer? The employer is going to have to find that money from somewhere. So what are they going to do? We're seeing massive layoffs. We're seeing programs being cut, and then we're seeing benefits being cut. So also, let's talk about the uncertain economy. You have your inflation, you have your rising labor costs. Everything is a bit uncertain. You also have your contract escalators. You have pre-negotiated rates that have raised post-COVID. Everything is costing more. You had a lot of claims, a lot of treatments. You have your new injectables, your gene therapy, specialty meds. You have a sicker population. So higher utilization, the demand is there, so things are going to rise, which dips me into the frequency and severity of claims. What are the cost of these claims and how frequent are we seeing them? All of this is pressure on your employers. You guys know this. You're meeting with your employers, especially at this time of the year. I know that you're hearing it. So let's look a little bit about how this risk has been financed in the past and where it's headed in the future. So in the 90s, you have your fully insured, right? One size fits all, which is really one size fits no one. In the 2000s, you're going to go into your traditional stop loss. It's going to be that 1-year play designed to avoid the next 12 months of risk. You have pretty basic contracts though. There's no extra added features for the long term. So the $1 million question is, and was, what happens at renewal time? Jumping into the 2010s, you're going to see the birth of the public pools, captives, and consortiums. These are going to stabilize that small to mid-sized market for a long-term strategy. But what you had was this new thing that came out. It's going to let everyone and anyone in for a fee. So it's kind of like the Sam's Costco model. You pay that membership fee, everyone and anyone can get in. You jump in the 2020s, you're going to see that private pool, the private consortiums, the more advanced way of thinking. And that's what we're here to talk about today, the future of risk financing for forward-thinking advisors. Sun Life reports, let's take a look at this. Sun Life reports $1 million claims are up 45% over the past 4 years. 20% of employers had at least one member with over $1 million in claims. Why are these $1 million claims up? I like to do what I call the espresso version and simplify it. Disease, drugs, facilities, and the great American insurance problem. These claims are larger, they're more frequent, and they are more expensive. So you're going to need a longer term solution. So let's look at the likelihood of these claims. Take a look at the bottom. You have 87% of employers had a stop loss claim during a given policy year. What is it? You have the premature babies on there, injectable drugs, cancer. You know you're going to have claims. You just don't know for when and for how long and really how bad. Will the policy in place protect your employer? We always say at Virtue, there's two types of groups, right? Your bad groups and your groups that are going to run bad. We just don't know when and for how long. Sorry, again, if you had to hear it first. But let's take a look at these multi-year threat claims. They're going to happen. Claims are up. They're going to last. What is scary is that you need to remember that you aren't going to be lucky enough to have these claims start at the beginning of a plan year. 66% of stop loss claims don't get reported until month 9 to 18. So they're not happening in the beginning of the year. Let's look at these claims. Cancer. It's one we're all familiar with. It's the biggest variable of risk. Many conditions, extremely expensive, especially with IV drugs. I know this firsthand. My mom is in remission as of recently from triple negative breast cancer. What is triple negative breast cancer? It is a type of breast cancer with no clear treatment method. So basically you become a human experiment. They throw everything but the kitchen sink at you to try to treat this very aggressive form of cancer. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in claims. Like it blew my mind seeing it firsthand how expensive this is. But think about what their plan is looking like right now for their small group. Guys, these claims are happening and they're long-term. You have premature babies, about $350,000 a claimant. You have ESRD, very expensive around 35,000 a month. You have your organ transplants, hundreds of thousands to $1 million, right? And it's just not the transplant, it's also the medication afterwards. And then you have MS and AIDS, which are ongoing lifetime conditions that mainly require a lot of pharmacy. So you have these claims that are up, the severity of them, the frequency is going up, and they're lasting a longer time. So how are we going to help these unpredictable claims and the frequency of these claims? How do we manage them for our employers? Let's look at traditional stop loss. It's a short-term insurance policy that's only going to cover 1 year of risk. What about those shock claims that pop up that I was just talking about? One claimant could blow the entire plan. I mentioned my mom in her small group. She was that one claimant, and it kind of blew the plan. Then it comes renewal time, right? There's no laser protection for traditional stop loss. So how do you take on 50% more exposure as an employer? What about no rate caps? Then what happens at renewal? You're going to max your rate increase out. And how is that sustainable? And the best part is the carrier doesn't have to offer you a renewal. So then you're kind of up a creek. I know you're thinking, Lydia, thanks for the information, but there's about 50 different carriers who are going to quote my group. Okay, yeah, buddy, that's great. I'm glad for you. Everyone's going to want to quote your group in the good years. But what do you do on the bad years? It's going to put the employer at risk. It puts you as an advisor at risk of losing that employer. So you have some options. You have your public pools, right? Here's my nice green algae pool. You have no cost containment requirements, no risk management. I mean, you have a menu of things that you can choose from, right? But none of them are mandatory. So yeah, those models have the quantity, but look at the protection that they're offering. One of the public models, one of their docs say to be prepared for up to a 16% premium increase in good years. And that is a good year. So you're seeing unfair increases for your groups that are actually managing risk. This is why John Spracco, our program director who created our company, that is why he created Virtue Health. He was doing the right things, putting the right things in place for his groups. He's putting them in the public pools, and then he's getting unfair increases for his groups because of the pools running bad. The question is, though, if you're doing self-funding the right way with risk management strategies, why would you want to be in a pool where not everyone is playing by the same rules? The water's going to get muddied, or in this case, very green and slimy-ish, and no one wants to spend time there. I don't want to swim there. And especially, no one wants to pay to be a part of that. What is a better option? Guys, this is where I really get excited because I truly believe in what Virtue Health is doing. And I think it's a new, much needed outfit to take to market. We are a private pool. This is going to talk about our private pool policy features. Virtue Health has risk management requirements. You know, we're not going to work with any carrier admins. So no carrier TPAs whatsoever. We're only going to work with transparent fiduciary PBMs, no big three. Our biggest and brightest, right? I probably should have put this one with fireworks. No collateral to join. Like I said, we were created by an advisor. He understood the pain points from the advisor side, right? The self-funding strategy conversation with employers is hard enough. And then you're going to say, hey, for more protection, you're going to go ahead and need to post collateral to join this group to be protected. No, that's not a conversation anyone wants to have. So we have a private consortium program with absolutely no collateral. Other policy features include the no new lasers. We have AI underwriting. If you're taking a fully insured group and wanting to move them to self-funding, you know it's absolutely impossible to get any claims data. Well, guess what? All we need is a member level census, and our underwriters are going to use a tool to pop out the claims, both medical and pharmacy information. So it's been a great resource for us. We have banded rate increase and caps. We have a high cost claimant team, and I can't tell you, enough about the team that we have. I think Virtue Health has such a strong program. Obviously, because we're doing things the right way, we're looking at quality over quantity, but also it's because our team is so strong. We have a high cost claimant team in place that is looking at data given to the TPAs weekly. We're looking for the Medicare eligible. We're looking for the high claimants so we can either mitigate or evacuate that risk. Guys, you have someone when you partner with Virtue that has their finger on the pulse of every single group at every single moment. So you're not just throwing them into a pool and saying, okay, we're done. That was no collateral. That's great. They're going to have great protection because the loss ratio is an industry best and we can go along our merry way. We'll see what happens at renewal. No, guys, we have our thumb on that pulse all year round. We are your partner. Like I said, we're actively maintaining the integrity of our pool. Our loss ratio is so important to us, and keeping our pool clean, as I mentioned, quality over quantity, that we're all working towards that. We also have foundation assistance. So if you do have a high claimant in the year, we have a way that we can evacuate them onto one of our charities or foundations. We have optional TLO, run in, run out, and then we are writing everything on A-rated stop loss. Flexibility. Okay, so I was just seeing advisors. I've been on the road a lot lately, right? It's that time of year. And one thing I love to hear from the advisors, some that work with us and some that don't yet, they say, your program is just so simple, right? It's optimal protection and it's so flexible. It's broker friendly. Well, part of the reason is because we were created by a broker. He knew from the broker side what you guys needed. So we're offering the flexibility. Enter or renew at any time of the year. We're not saying you have to come on at a 1-1 or a 5-1. Enter or renew any time of the year. That's your group's choice. You have 100% control over plan design. We're just saying, hey, it has to be a transparent PBM. It has to be an independent TPA, and then a few other things that we are requiring. We're having multiple network options. Your choice of TPA or PBM. We have partners ourselves that we have strategically set in place that have been tested, proven, and repeated time and time again. So we say like, hey, we've tested these partners. They work flawlessly with our program. We get great member feedback from them. So we can be that turnkey solution. If you hand us our group, we're going to talk strategy about it. We're going to see which network plays best. And then you can say, hey, Lydia, I trust your advice on which partners to place on the TPA PBM side. Go ahead and do it. Turnkey, easy done. Or if you already have those partners in place, we'll check them out. And as long as they're aligned with our program, that's completely fine. You can bring them aboard. Super flexible. Also, let's go into a little bit of the numbers. Feel the power of group purchasing, right? We're at over 20,000 members. We're at over 100 plus employers. We're in a majority of the country. On good years, we're seeing around 6% stop loss premium renewal. And this is our pride and gem, right? 69% loss ratio since inception. Guys, we are running clean. We're mean. We're great. Our program is like this for a reason, because we're actively maintaining the integrity of our pool. It's an industry best loss ratio. And how does that affect your group? Well, guess what? Say your group's having a crappy year and there's nothing that we've been able to do to wrap strategy around it. At the end of the year, when it comes renewal time, your member experience for that group will be leveraged against our great loss ratio, against the consortium, how they've done, and then that's going to spit out your renewal. So that is how the consortium piece protects you. Numbers that matter most, like I said, 69% loss ratio. Look at the PPYs right here. There's a $15,500 national PPY. In Virtue Health with our clients in our consortium, the PPY average is $8,700. So you can definitely see groups in our program are almost half of what they are outside of our program. Employers who endorse Virtue, I get asked this question a lot on demos. Do you exclude any type of industries? No, we don't. We are open to every and any industry. We are underwriting everything individually coming in. So we're taking a look at everything individually. Some employers that are in our consortium, you have Beauty Blender, right? You have churches, you have construction companies, you have urology centers. So you really have the full gamut that is part of our consortium. Just as a reminder, because we always get asked this too, we are one pool. There's no industry specific sex. All right, next steps, wrapping up. I think we are still good on time, as I promised. This is going to be short and sweet because I really wanted to boil this down for you today because I know time is important at this time of year. You're going to have to do a little deep dive, right? You're going to have to ask yourself, what do I want? Think about your groups. Think about the stability and the longevity of your groups. What Virtue offers is predictability. One of the main things that I love about Virtue is our retention rate. And I didn't mention it here, but other than maybe a broker getting fired and losing a group that way, we're at 100% retention rate this year. And that always blows people's minds, almost more than our loss ratio, because I can tell you all day how great our program is because we're running so clean and we're doing the right things, entering in, and we're underwriting groups individually. I can tell you that all day long. I can do that. But how is it working for the groups that are already in our consortium? Groups are staying, and it's not because we're making them stay. We don't need a 60, 90, 120 day heads up. We're not going to take their favorite puppy in order to get out of our consortium. No, groups are more than willing to go or enter as they would like to. However, groups aren't leaving because they are finding that with the stability is that predictability. And what does that produce? That produces the longevity. So you're going to have to ask yourself, there's a lot of different, I always say shiny squirrels out there, right? There's a lot of different solutions being thrown at you. There's a lot of different partners that have webinars every other day or posting this on LinkedIn. You have to decide, am I going to ground myself and align myself with quality, strategic, proven partners? Or am I going to chase every shiny squirrel? It's tempting. But what I find in our program, the value in our program is a soft space for brokers and groups alike to land. We're pouring into the broker, we're pouring into your group, and it allows groups to stay. What are next steps? If you have questions for me, like I said at the beginning, I might not get to them in the chat because I want to keep this short and sweet today. Feel free to call me. Put it in an email. I would love to talk with you. Book a demo. If you want to do a strategy call because you want to see if groups qualify, what are good qualifiers for groups? We're looking at 50 plus employees enrolled, at least 60% participation. So we would love to chat with you about your groups to see how you could get them access to Virtue Health's private consortium. Guys, we are not a quoting mill. We are not a provider. We are your partner. We value that relationship with our brokers. We value our relationships with their employers. And that's why we have such a great, well-running program. If you send us a group, we're going to chat about it because we want to do our best for you guys. Thank you for attending today. It'd be our honor to chat with both you and to get to take a look at the groups that you have. Winter is coming. It feels like it's already here, but happy hunting.